Hey everyone, I'm back with another video, and in this video I'm going to be drawing a self-portrait. I'm not going to talk very much for this intro. I know that's kind of like my jam is to ramble on about stuff, but a lot of what I would want to say face to face is basically what I'm going to say in my voiceover. So let's just do it. All right, everyone. So before I start the voiceover, first of all, I apologize about my nails. This one's chipping off, and I really don't feel like repainting them right now. Also, one thing to note is for most of the challenge, I used my Prismacolor Kohl Erase in Scarlet Red. Really liked this one throughout. It gave me nice lines without having to go like too dark. I don't know. I really liked using it. Also, I used my Faber Castell eraser. There is a portion where I did use the Micron plastic nib, but that was really only one spread. So for the most part, I use this bad boy right here. And on with the voiceover. Alrighty, welcome to the voiceover. I'm going to be talking in different parts, and I'm going to have timestamps below if you just want to kind of skip over to those specific sections. Because this might be a little long. All right, the first thing is the 100 head challenge. What is it? Basically, the gist that I got from it is you are to, well, you don't have to, but there is a Pinterest board out there for you to use for all the images, and you're supposed to create them in 10 days. Spaced out however you want them, but that's basically what the challenge is. Now, I went into this completely different. I actually kind of went into this more with wanting to look at my style more than my speed, and so the time frame wasn't really as big of a reason to do this as some people. So that part of the challenge I didn't do. I think these took me about a couple months, when like start to finish, and I wasn't doing them every day. I found actually the main times that I drew these were when I was taking a break from a commission or when I felt creatively stuck. And it really helped to kind of get me out of that block and back into drawing every day. So I really enjoyed this challenge. Should you do it personally? Yes. And I say this with no agenda. I think anyone from any skill level should do this, and I will tell you why now. Beginners, I think that it's important to work from life. However, not everyone has a whole bunch of people they can look at for references. And so this is like the next best thing. Plus it's curated. Plus you can see other people's styles because so many people have already done this. You can kind of see like basically how people can frame things, how like ideas on like creating shapes and everything like that. I think it's incredibly beneficial for beginners to attempt this. Plus, it's really cool to track like before you start and how you're doing to after you finish. I think it'd be really cool to see how much you've improved over these 100 heads. So I highly encourage you to do it. For intermediate, yeah, because you know we're always working on something and exploring things and challenging ourselves, and I think that it's beneficial if you want to create a new style or go deeper onto a style that you are looking at right now anyway. And yeah, I definitely think that it's beneficial for intermediate. Wow. Or the middle. We're just gonna keep chugging along. For advanced, yes, and I understand that I shouldn't say most, a lot of advanced classically trained fine artists are going to cringe at something like this because again, kind of what I said earlier, it's not based off life. But the thing, I guess my reasoning for saying yes for advanced people is because there's always something to learn. And I feel like, especially if you wanted to challenge yourself in a new medium, I definitely think that this is a great place to start. And I say this realizing, yes, that I did this in like Prismacolor Cool Erase, and that's not as far off from charcoal. You know, it's not like I tried to do this in gouache or acrylic or oil or anything like that. So I didn't like push myself that way. But my reasoning for doing this was for style, not for medium. I think something like this, when you're starting out a new medium, regardless of how long you've been in the art game, is incredibly beneficial. So, but that's, you know, that's just my take on it. You can take it or leave it. And that kind of brings me into why did I want to do it? Or why I wanted to do it. Why did I phrase that so weird? Why I wanted to do this challenge is kind of what I grazed upon before. I've been feeling very stuck in my style lately, and I think this is something that most artists go through no matter how long they've been creating, and even more so if you've been creating longer. You start to feel either bored or like everything you're producing just sucks. And I feel like sometimes when we get to that point, it means we're about ready to break through into either a different style or something new that we haven't yet had to face. And that's happened to me more than once. But I was feeling stuck more because my charcoal style is very exaggerated. I can't even say hyper realistic because it's not even realistic. It's very dramatized. It's very detailed. And it's very overworked in a lot of pieces. And I started to become really down on myself, really hard on myself when something wasn't going correctly or when something didn't look right. And thankfully, I've started to get out of that headspace. But the main reason I did is because I was doing this challenge. It allowed me to forgive myself a lot because I was trying something different with my style, and I was trying to do things that weren't necessarily correct. Like, there are a lot of my drawings that do not look like the photo, and that's okay. I had to really, especially in the beginning of this, I had to really focus on the fact that that was not my goal. My goal was to change my line work. My goal was to change my shading and create more of a sketchy feel than it was to create accuracy, which sounds very counterintuitive because you're probably thinking to yourself, Farley, if you're wanting to do something based in realism, shouldn't it be accurate? And yeah, it should. But for the most part, with my detail work, I'm pretty accurate. It's more when it becomes stylized, that's when it gets really weird and wonky. As you can probably have seen in this drawing, like a lot of my proportions were off, and even when it's finished, it does not look exactly like the reference photo. But that's where forgiving myself came into play, was that I didn't really need it to look like the reference photo in general. Each drawing taught me something different. Now, do I think in this challenge there are a lot of clay and statue figures? Yes. Maybe sometimes too much clumped together. So what I did was I kind of paired everything off into groups of 5. And from there, I kind of picked and choose what I wanted to do, either that session or that time frame. And so I didn't feel so bogged down by all of the clay figures. For me, it ended up working out great because since I wanted to become more about the line work instead of just about all the detailing, clay actually really helped me. I didn't think it would, but it really did help me throughout the process. But for someone who is wanting to get more of a feeling for like an actual person's head shape or angles or facial expressions, it doesn't serve that purpose. It serves more on seeing and then implementing, seeing what you're laying down on the paper and making it what you see in the photo. Because I think sometimes when people do portrait work, they start to not look at the reference and piece together what they think it should be in their mind, and that's where things can go awry. So I think that was very beneficial with the clay, but I don't think that there needed to be that many clay pieces or statues, and there were quite a few that were in there a couple times where it was just different angles. So there are pros and cons with this challenge, and obviously you can adapt it to whatever you want. Like, there are so many photos of people out there, and even if you're just like sitting in a cafe, like pull out your sketchbook and try to draw the person across from you without being a major creepster. So those were like the major things. I wanted a looser style, and I wanted to be able to forgive myself for really tiny and insignificant mistakes, and to just treat myself more kind. So that kind of brings us back to the drawing for just a little bit. This is actually a point where I could not get the lips. Like, this whole drawing in itself took me about 25 minutes, and I sped it up just a little bit for the sake of you all, so you weren't sitting there and just watching me think in certain moments. But you can see I'm like trying to line things up and not really getting it right. And that's something that I think needs to be pointed out. No matter how long you've been drawing or doing something, like, try not to get frustrated with yourself, because everyone makes mistakes in almost every single drawing or painting. No one has all the answers. Like, no one can do it completely perfectly the first time around. There's going to be erasing. There's going to be overlays. Like, no matter what we try to showcase on social media, like, perfection is a state of mind. It's not reality. And if there's anything that you take away from this video, that should be it. It's something that I had to really work on with myself and learn and, well, teach myself to be more forgiving. Well, there's that word again, being forgiving. We've come up with the theme for today's video. And I guess just moving forward, like, what I really hope to accomplish moving forward is, whenever I try out a new medium, I'm probably going to try this type of challenge out again. There are certain things that I really want to start using. I'm still on the fence about oil paints, not because I don't love looking at them, but the process itself seems so inundated with steps. For right now, for me, I don't think it's for me for right now. I have many acquaintances and friends who love oil, and they are so gifted and talented, but my brain does not work in that fashion. I'm more of like, when I lay it down, I want it to be down. I don't want to like move it around all the time. That's why I think I gravitate towards a lot of charcoal and watercolor work, is because pretty much once it's down, it's down. Now you can tweak it, of course, but it's kind of difficult to pick up charcoal once it's down. And obviously the same for watercolor. And I think that's why I like it. The 2 times I tried oil was disastrous. Well, I guess I shouldn't say that. They just weren't that good. And obviously, like, I didn't spend time developing skills, developing my technique with those. So of course they're not going to be like masterpieces by any means, but it was just a medium I didn't get joy out of using, at least not right now. One thing I kind of want to go into, and you can hold me accountable to this, is gouache. I think it's enough of a step between acrylic and watercolor that I think I could adapt to it a little bit easier. In some aspects of oil, not like a lot, but some of the layering techniques could be considered oil like. But I really want to start using gouache. So something that I'm going to try to implement is like different things that I'm seeing online. If I see someone's portrait or profile or something, if I see a picture that I like of someone, I'm going to screen cap it, and then I'm going to put it into a folder, and that's going to be my reference folder. I've actually saved some drawings, or some reference photos from this challenge, and I might try to start implementing that. I would love to experiment with skin tones. I would love to experiment with more abstract pieces, but still based in realism. I'm not sure if that makes sense. A good example of that could be Boki. She has a very awesome line of abstract and surrealism mixed with her realism. I love her style. I also really like @GookieMonster. I think she is only on Instagram, but I've been following her for years. Love her style. So definitely check those people out. I've talked about Boki before, but I've never talked about Nick. So definitely check out @GookieMonster on Instagram, and I'll have everything linked below as well. But yeah, I mean, those are just some of the things that I think moving forward could really push me in a very beneficial way. I am also considering doing kind of more art projects on my channel, and this, I would love participation with you all. So if you're ever feeling stuck or ever feeling uninspired, you could pop on my channel and like pull up one of the art projects that I have uploaded that I'm working through like in real time, and kind of move along them with me. So that's one thing that I would really love to start implementing as well. And anywho, as we come to the end of this drawing, I just want to say thank you so much for all your love and your support, your messages while I took my little break from YouTube. I really appreciate it, because sometimes you just need that break. And I'm glad to be back. I'm glad to be able to upload this. And that's the end of the voiceover. So here we go. Okay, there you have it. So I hope you really enjoyed this video. I hope that my voiceover was concise in explaining exactly what I felt during this challenge and how I felt during this drawing. Let me know if you have any questions or comments down below. Subscribe if you want to, and I will talk to you later.